What if staring at the moon is more harmful than staring at the sun, or equally as harmful? Yeah, despite women being different than men, they're still human. And moon is different than the sun, but it's still a holy object in the sky that nobody can reach. Except for science. Science can reach it easily. Disrespects moon so badly, it's insane, bro. And that's where it all begins, my friends. Perhaps we're disrespecting moon so damn much we're getting punished right now. We're getting disconnected spiritually. And it might be getting worse. Who knows? I'm trying to gather some clues and answer the question of what is this object? And the reason why I say staring at the moon can be pretty harmful, you know, sun can burn your eyes. But moon can burn your mind. Like, you must understand, when we're talking about horror, we're talking about the nighttime, and the only big shiny object in the night sky is the moon. Not the sun. That would be impossible. And in fact, you can stare at the sun. Rise and sunset. That's what I got for the introduction. At this point, we're just exploring. There is 100 in the moon. There's Monday or Moon Day. Because there's Sunday too. There's these fucking mermaids that have been created by the moon. If you watch the series back in the day. And most importantly, there's the flatness of the earth that has not been disproven. And somehow it's getting even harder and harder for them to send rockets to the sky. It just keeps getting harder, not easier. You know, science is getting lamer and lamer in that sense. They really went to the moon really fast, but can't keep going to the moon faster. There's more technology, better technology, more brain cells to go around in faster speeds, and we're slower. Which is, again, why I believe in flat Earth, and like, that moon happens to be a little bit more fucking meaningful than we give it credit to. And potentially, it's holy, it's spiritually overwhelming. And most important clue is, moon is unpredictable. You don't know where it is in the night sky. You don't know which phase it is. You can look it up, all that information to some extent. But as if everyone can calculate when the next eclipse can happen. You know, someone else is going to do it for you, and I'm going to tell you. It's funny that moon is in front of the sun to make eclipses in the first place, because if it was the other way around, we wouldn't have eclipses. That's pretty interesting. And again, scientific-minded people, I don't give a fuck about you guys. You're probably not going to be able to keep up, because you don't have the spirit mindset to open your minds to understanding things. You know, the first thing you have to do with your stupid science is to disprove that I am smart. You have to disprove somehow as quickly as possible that I'm smart. That I'm stupid enough to be ignored. You can put it that way. And you know your emotions cannot help you with that. You actually potentially just have to suck it up and listen. And accept the rules. You know. Because going to space is somehow very difficult to this day. And something most people wouldn't want to do anyways. we are stuck, but not really, is just people who are not spiritually minded. They're very stuck. So that's that, and it's supposed to be a scary object, bro. And like full moon is known to wake people up into this like monster behavior or mindset. I just call it demonic, and there's plenty of switches in your brain. Anything can go wrong, anything can malfunction, and now you are a monster all of a sudden, looking for a next victim, actively, relentlessly, desperately. Who knows how many switches you can turn on? And maybe they can be turned on just by staring at the moon. Maybe it's gonna, like, start messing with your brain and burning your brain. It's possible, guys. And maybe, you know, Russians did a Cold War and lured Americans into, you know, melting their brains off by staring at the moon. Hey, guys, we're almost there at the moon. We would just, like, circle the moon. But, oh, Americans have to go there. Like, actually go there, guys.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
If we are...
Yeah. No wonder he got shot in the face, this bad boy, right? He did the biggest crime in humanity's history. Made us stare at the moon and disprove moon's power. The overwhelming power of the moon. This object was disrespected. He got shot in the fucking head. His head exploded. And I think is fucking justified. And it's starting to tie in all together into this horror story that you might not want to fucking watch to begin with, to be honest, because already nothing makes sense. Just literally nothing makes sense. Mermaids, spiritual awakening, sun and moon being equal superpower levels. What is going on, bro? Where are we going with this? That is the question, isn't it? Are we gonna answer across many, many videos? It can't just be one, because this object has been haunting us for a very long time. So let's get to know moon, because getting to know sun was pretty easy, right? It's not easy. Sun is also just as complicated, because you have to deal with heat, you know. You have to understand heat, you have to understand light, you have to understand life itself as it flourishes under the lights. So, it's just as complicated of an object to understand the sun, but it's almost like straightforward at the same time, right? For me, I want to just figure this bad boy out. And I'm not sure if sun is gonna help us in this case. And yeah, there's a lot of spiritual stuff connected to this, because there's a whole horoscope thing going on, right? Oh wait, horoscope doesn't give a fuck about moon. It's just like they use moon as a bonus mystifying thing, it seems. I don't care about that shit. That's not spiritual stuff. That's just feminism in a way. Now, which one is more feminine, moon or the sun? I guess we'll never fucking know, to be honest. But it feels like women love the sun, so they're more moon people, right? And men like the moon, so they are attracted to women. That means this is a female object. And it has to be, like, mysterious because it's a female object. So let's mark it that way. Alright. And again, the mermaids now have a check mark of, like, yeah, that's a female object. We don't have merman. That's good. But before we dive deeper and look for more clues, there is one more clue. I typed in Camila Cabello and moon, and I got a song. That means I'm on the right track, because that is the person we gonna go to the moon with. I mean, even Ariana is fucking obsessed with the moon. And God knows what these fucking water people see in the moon. What interconnection that we all know the moon. Moon is the most popular object in this world. We stare at the moon way too long at this point. So yeah, the first thing, what will happen when you look at the moon, you will start realizing how little you fucking know about life. You have no idea how to define this object anymore. You're checkmated basically immediately. But there's big object shiny in the sky, and I don't understand anything. And even though it's consistent and it's figured out and it's like it has phases and like just reflects sunlight and whatnot, God knows how it works exactly. Another mysterious thing is that it just has one side, though. You only see one side of the moon. Which is like, what? That alone, and the size of the moon being exactly as the sun, that alone just disproves globe entirely. You know, if you ever wanted to believe in a flat earth, there's just two things. The moon and lack of going to the moon. You know, so moon is the only object that disproves globe earth. That's all you need. Just one object. So already, moon has influence, and it's getting out of control. It's fucking getting out of control, bro. Literally, I have to draw an arrow, because that's where all fucking gets debunked. One object. No matter how much effort, how many lies we can put together, we can't destroy the moon, we cannot hide the moon, we can't do nothing. The moon is always going to be there and going to tell us many truths about life. There's more to it. There's something more to it that is being hidden, but the moon can reveal that information. It's kind of like, you know, a little fucking map of truth, perhaps. But let's listen to Camila. What did she told the moon? We need to know, guys. God, it's fucking creepy as hell. Because it's not the official song, it's unreleased. She pretends that Moon is female, which is very unusual to me. When I speak my language, we have Sun as the female. This would be Moon, and this would be male gender. We actually give gender to certain objects. So for Camila to say her is a little bit fucking weird. You probably fucking mistaken the pronouns, girl. So now you know what the feeling is that she has. It's like we can connect our thoughts using the moon. Send messages. That's the clue she gives. I don't know. We'll see. So now we have to theorize what would happen if moon had properties. whether it's to send information into the moon or receive information, and would that fry your brain somehow? And it gets pretty scary because if moon is useful, it might not be useful all the time. It might only be useful at full moon. Or a half moon would mean that it's half useful, right? It's weird. But the phases would also probably play into the superpower the moon has. First of all, you can imagine another clue about the moon. So the sun is like this, right? The moon is probably like this and wants to trap information inside. Doesn't want to fucking let it go. And if you stare at the moon, that information gets sucked in. Which is why it burns your brain and not your eyes. Now you understand where we're going with this. It's getting very consistent. One thing I'm gonna tell you guys, this also, it doesn't feel correct. I think it was debunked that wolves don't actually do that. But you know who does that? Russians do. And all the people who want to gaslight you into, you know, sending something, some kind of energy to the moon. They're gonna howl at the moon. Oh, hey, look, guys, it's the moon. It's full moon, guys. You can definitely use that one. Ah, scary shit. If the wolves like it, you should not like that. You should not like this object. But potentially, all you have to do, just like with sun, is not stare at it. That's all you have to do. Just don't look at it. Know where it is, how it looks like, what phase it is. You just have to grab information and move on. That's it, bro. And then you will understand the rest of the world falls into this thing. And the way they treat the moon, you have to like treat those objects with respect. Of course you wouldn't stare at the sun because you're gonna burn your eyes out. But it's a weird one. If you were like overly spiritual, it would still be difficult to stop people from convincing themselves that staring at the sun is not going to do any harm because they're special. You know, that's what spirituality sometimes does to people. So just because we can stop people from staring at the sun, that only means that we cannot stop them from staring at the moon. You know, there's definitely a fucking slate in there. There's only a handful of people that would stare at the sun, but there's a fucking infinity and beyond of people who would stare at the moon, disrespecting its existence, and that it has the same effect. Literally the same effect, but you don't know about it. You don't understand. You just disrespect because you don't care. You just don't. It's just fucking ball in the sky. I don't give a fuck. That's the whole point. No. That's the problem. Disrespect is pretty fucking bad in life to have across the population. Just people being disrespectful. Come on, bro. That alone is bad enough. But what if moon is actually harmful and damages people, and it amplifies your disrespect, and it burns your fucking brain? Turns you into a monster just like werewolves. You know, like, it's just, like, everything adding up together, guys. You must understand. The most disrespectful thing is to just look at the moon and be like, nothing's gonna happen. Or stare at the moon and be like, okay, what's gonna happen now? Nothing's happening, but like, maybe I will see something. In both situations, you're just wrong. It's just an object in the sky, just like the sun, giving you immediate information about something. So now the biggest question, and potentially is gonna stick around, what is that superpower and how do we use it? How do we use information? How do we gather information about this question mark in the first place? And how do we become mermaids? Is the real question, yeah. That's the one. I'm scared that all my thoughts, they look like you. What? How does that make any sense? How can thoughts look like something mostly referring to a human being? And what the hell is going on? So because we're taking Camila onto this journey, she also has question marks, you know, in her personality, in her life, that might need to be answered, right? Just like we answered all the sniper questions. We're moving on from one Powerpuff to the other to solve more mysteries. That's what this series is about, guys. We move in on. Potentially, yes. The longer you stare at the moon, it's the more you're reminded that you're stupid. And it's as simple as it sounds, it's deep, and it should hurt a lot of spiritual people. The more you stare at the moon, the stupider you are. This is just an image, a projection. I cannot show you the moon. And even if I would show you the moon, you wouldn't need to stare at it, but it's still on your screen. Like, we're talking about it, right? We're inviting the moon over because we're going to talk about the mystery surrounding it. There's a lot of it. But by staring at the moon, just by staring at the moon, without listening to me, you will get zero information. You won't find anything here. There's nothing here. I don't see anything here. The best you can see is like a face. Because that's what people care about. For me, it's more of a fucking bowling ball, if anything. I've been collecting glitches of the my life right now. I can't access that though. Get link, glitch. We can sort of zoom in. And there's a lot of glitches, bro. Jesus fucking... You scroll down for a long time, bro. Almost anyone can glitch. Sniper glitched 22 times. Ari 13 times. Like, it's annoying. There's definitely enough mysteries of just like, even if like people can read your mind or not, is a mystery. Maybe that's the deal with the devil, for example. Staring at the moon and hoping for things. We just don't know. And again, just like with the sun tells us that there is nothing we can do to stare at the sun. We can just, you know, put on protective glasses and then stare at the sun, and still nothing is gonna happen just because we stare at it. Like, there's no point. It's pointless. It's only gonna damage you. The only superpower is the presence of the moon in your area. You know, just like the sun being close, it gives you things. The moon also gives you, technically, boosts of some kind. You just have to acknowledge that it exists nearby. So that's the psychology, right? Again, normally you need yin and yang because you need one thing to talk about the other, to give information about the other. The way I used sun to project information onto the moon, because it already projects sunlight onto itself almost. Who knows what the fuck this is? If this is actually sunlight. We have been brain rotted into thinking that it's sunlight, and I will accept it. I can't disprove it. You know, they fill in empty space, these fucking scientific assholes. Unless I can figure out what else to say about the moon's light, I just have to accept what it is being told. Because I don't want to sound dumb of like, oh, moon is actually flat. Oh, moon is actually fucking hollow and fucking holographic or some bullshit like that. I don't want to see things like that. I just want to solve a simple mystery. What is this boost that we get? What do we get from the moon? Because we can't look at it, but there is something we get from it. And because it's unpredictable, is it like a lucky thing? Is it feelings? You know, like you have to be very lucky to have full moon next to you. Is it gonna boost your mood somehow to feel superpowers? Like you can do anything, self-esteem or something? Can you be the best of the best at midnight or something? Because that's a lot of power, you know. If you can control, manipulate human beings at midnight, you can take over, you know, your place, wherever you live. You can manipulate other people into feeding you self-esteem in that particular moment. Who knows, bro? Like, this is a lot of weird stuff that if it's actually capable of doing things, if the moon has influence and it's consistent, we can't just ignore it. We have to figure the shit out of it. Another thing, because moon is so unpredictable, and you probably need to know where it is and how it looks like, it's probably worth researching and double checking what aligns with moon's phases and all that shit. Also, most importantly for the rookies, right? Those who have absolutely no information about the moon. I believe it goes like this, right? It goes like this. Alright. So you get this phase and then that phase. And it goes from this to this. That's how it phases. So there's mainly 6 phases, but technically there's the missing moon phase, where the moon is missing for everyone. There's no moon. So there's 6 phases. And we have to figure out what each of those phases mean. What happens. And the best way to figure out is just by doing things, just by observing things. Because I can research and I can get information. But people like to give information from all over the place. You can just remember information. Or just see it. Maybe that 100 is going to be useful at some point. Because that's 100%, right? The middle point. That matters. The 100%. Maybe full moon means that losers are going to lose their minds at full moon. Because they're going to look at it. They're going to be uncomfortable that the moon exists in the first place. The temptation of looking at the moon is just going to destroy them. Right? Maybe this is how you win against other human beings of the self-esteem game. Of how to force people to look at the moon. Like, it just comes together, doesn't it? And mermaids are just simply girls that know this information and shouldn't be staring at the full moon because they will lose their fucking minds to it of like, ah, fuck it, man. Why did this happen to me? They have to make it dramatic and stuff. But they're not like battling people to force them not to look at the moon or to force them to look at the moon. They're just battling each other. See, that's the funny thing, like, you don't care about the wolf, you care about what he's howling for, but then you lose. There is a word called mood. Funny enough. In this case, I would just, like, remove the N. Mood. And mood is definitely a word that's kind of closely related to this thing. Because mood holds self-esteem. Right? We just talked about it. And yes, by having, told people not to look at the moon, I did the opposite? Well, no. Assholes who don't want to take things literally and be respectful, they will look at the moon and realize how stupid they are. And maybe realize many more feelings. Or just lose their minds to it. Because you can look at a certain spot, and the more mysterious the thing is, the more quickly it sucks in your thoughts and leaves you in this blackout sort of mindset. You can sort of do it to yourself through imagination, but I would imagine something like Moon would do it a lot faster, bro. A lot faster to you. Because, like, through imagination, can you, like, conjure lights? Not really. But what you can conjure is blankness. Pretend that you can't see anything. Because it's just blanked out. Pretend that you're blind. And ignorant that you cannot see things. But this, so there's blank and blackouts. Blank out, blackout. And that's what we have here. Alright. Again, it's moon and the sun working together to paint a story. But yeah, you would find those eyes, and it probably, like, it burns the moon of, like, what people searching when they stare at the moon, what they're searching for. Which is now a question, what the fuck is this? I understand, like, people are searching for the eyes. Is that a smile? And then the third eye. Is this the, like, most deranged thing you can think of? They're probably looking for to get themselves scared. You know. And now I made the moon 10 times scarier, didn't I? Just by putting a fucking smile in there. Because it knows you shouldn't be fucking looking at it. It knows. My first instinct is that your fears get manifested. But it's pretty obvious why. If you lose self-esteem, like, fears manifest just because of that. Like, anxiety can cause this shit, mental illness can cause this shit, and that comes from lack of self-esteem. Feeling very uncomfortable. and then amplifying that feeling. Hey, what the fuck is flickering? I'm now feeling uncomfortable. So yeah, so far we just figured that the more you look at it, the more self-esteem gets stolen. And technically it's worse. It's worse when it's full moon, bro. It's a no-no, for real. And it's almost like a relief that the moon is like gone for most people. But again, as you know, it's better to have moon around. Just not look at it. Even this one is kind of crazy, like the newest inspiration to care about Camila is like, how did she end up like this, right? That's the main theme. How did that happen? What? And you get no answers. Maybe you just needed the question, I guess. I don't know. This is deceptive as fuck, bro. Why? Because the first quarter is here, you know, I wasn't wrong, but it fucking deceptive first website. So we have half moon, I guess, somewhere. Because I don't go outside, I kind of remember all the instances when the moon is like an intense thing in the sky. I at least remember 2 instances of going outside at night. Like, these are fucking rare things. Oh, funny enough, you can see it, right? The moon is the first subscription. Fucking degenerate. I don't know if that's a glitch. We'll have to find out over time. What do people talk about the moon? Well, they can't. Because there's this negative channel, which does exactly the same thing. Right? It fries your brain with negativity. What? Well, that's kind of cool. But this is like a short film that's also scary. Jesus, I don't like this shit. Some fucking creatures, bro. I don't want a horror in my life. But this is what we got, right? Don't look at the moon and like, oh, someone's gonna make the fucking stupid shit about it. But no one actually ever said anything what I'm saying right now. Like, no one said that. It's fucking Minecraft, bro. Yeah, the only time you're gonna allow me to listen to, like, horror is when I actually just listen to it. And just someone tells a scary story. It's as close as I can get. Which is, again, another reason not to look at the moon, because it's fucking scary. It does that to people, you know. So hopefully I can, like, listen to this fucking dude, and that's it.
Daily schedules.
Just like you don't want to touch fire, you don't want to watch horror films. You just don't want to fucking do that.
Relative.
And guess what? We have invented fire. We can just light up matches and candles and all that shit, and you wouldn't want to touch that. The same we created artificial ice and creepy shit.
By 10.
And guess what they do? They invade your brain. They fry your fucking brain. You get scared, and you're not supposed to be scared. You're supposed to do things that will not make you scared. That's how you're supposed to live your life. But some people don't care. They just give in to the darkness.
She
It's gravity, you know. It's important to stay away from bad intentions and all the other stuff that's just bad for you. And you know it is. But even to me, it's hard to resist gravity. It's just like, I know I have to do everything I can to resist it. Just to work tirelessly while everyone else falling victim to that gravity. It's technically a competition across the world to not give in to bad things. I just want to know what this guy fucking talking about. And it's probably not worth it, but like, shit, I found this guy.
called
Yeah, Hollow Moon, of course. Is that a more general one?
A 7-month
See what can happen to you if you look at the moon? Crazy. Never stare at the man in the moon. There you go. Something way closer to what I'm fucking talking about.
We're also going to be talking about just some generally disturbing facts about the moon that you probably never heard of before. So when people...
It's disturbing that, like, she puts so many fucking graphics. Like, I can't watch this shit. Like, you would think, like, it's very easy to just, like, oh, it's just some fucking happy facts. I can't watch this shit. Like, what the moon does to people's brains is insane. Because we can't even scratch the surface without people going insane. Science went insane. The creepypastas are everywhere. All of them incredibly dangerous. Your sanity. You need sanity, guys. Trust me. You need it. So, yeah. Yeah. Just look up, but don't look into the moon. That's a funny thing. That's a funny Ariana meme now. These are fucking moon people, bro. These are the real aliens. Playing and making horror games, like, you're not sane person if you do shit like this. If you exist in a way like these people exist. You're not a sane person. You could easily call these people possessed. And again, simplicity triumphs. It's super obvious what's going on. People are just wasting their sanity for whatever reason. We don't know. They have to tell us themselves in the human form, hopefully, without throwing some shady graphics into us. And like, no, they have to just be open and honest about what the fuck they're doing. Because the Jacksepticeye fellow, the fucking Markiplier fellow, and God knows what kind of fucking iceberg is beneath these fucking clowns. I mean, I can't even comprehend their existence, bro. It's bad enough that we have Penguin with shitty thumbnails. We have these fucking assholes with horrifying thumbnails, spreading disease across YouTube. And there's nothing we can do about it. Just ignore. We can just only look away. Be the smart fellows with sanity intact that we want to actually spend on nice things in life. To me, you know, I care about speed in life. And sanity is just one of the biggest contributors to speed of how you successfully live as fast as you can, because you kind of have to. In a competition environment, speed is everything, bro. You can run away from a lot of problems if you don't have creepy faces in your fucking brain. You know, like, that's the whole point. But a diseased person who doesn't care anymore, he will try and spread the disease to as many people as possible so they don't care either. So they pretend that it's a cool thing, you know. The closest we gotten to a fucking solar eclipse on YouTube is when Corpse husband became popular. That's as close as we got to some terrifying shit. At the same time, when Corpse was becoming popular, we lost YouTube Rewind. You know, it switched to Mr. Beast YouTube Rewind at 2020. And then he featured Corpse. And I was like, oh shit. Then Belle Delphine showed up at the same Rewind. And all of a sudden, life was a little bit creepier at 2020. Wasn't it? Obviously, there was pandemic, there was fucking Among Us. Among Us, there's real fucking creepers in there. So everything ties in to the moon, it seems. To the scary object in the sky. We can paint it differently. We can give it sanity. But right now it just looks pretty insane. And there's nothing we can do about it. We just must not make it worse. Just try not to make it worse. Alright? Because the moment you ruin someone's image and you can't fucking fix it fast enough, you have to move on. And hopefully you stop ruining things. Because you can even just ruin an image of something and someone. You can offend me very quickly and all of a sudden I have to fucking shut you down. Because you're ruining my image, you're ruining my reputation. I have to shut you down. So you would imagine that these horror fucking filled people, they are horrifying themselves and they can switch into a monster very quickly. They're filled with horror. That's what you're trying to avoid in life. And that's why you're trying to stay away from staring at the moon, because you don't want to see the moon as significant, as something you want to look at in the first place. Even right now, I'm just like very uncomfortable, to be honest. What we have to do, desperately, is remove it from the board. It has too much detail as well. Like sun, you have no idea how the sun looks like. For you, the sun is just a fucking blob. So you have to respect the moon the same fucking way. It's just a blob. That's what it is. It's a fucking smiley face in there. But please don't look at it. Alright? We can do better. That's how the moon looks like. Like, actually. There you go. But you'll have to believe my word for it. Don't fucking look at it. The same way, I'm still scared of the dark. Like, I know nothing bad can happen, but my brain doesn't know. Like, I want everything to be fine and under control, and I can see everything and sort of understand everything. If something fucking mysterious started happening, like, shit, bro. I don't want to be creeped out. But a lot of people, like fucking Shane Dawson, just like hunting ghosts of like, oh, bad things supposed to happen, but they're not happening, are they? Why are they not happening, these bad things? And it's like, you definitely don't want to fucking meet a ghost. I'm just saying, you just don't want to fucking meet a ghost. Because it's, again, it's not gonna be a ghost. It's gonna be a human being who's filled with horror. Who's filling up the role of the ghost. And doing a very good job at it. That's what's gonna happen, bro. There's no such thing, but like, still. We don't know. There's mysteries that we'll never solve. Which is why ghost hunting is so fucking cool, too. Just to fucking creep people out constantly. So we're dealing with the psychological thing. We still don't understand how the moon is, like, extremely helpful and can boost our self-esteem and all that shit. Like, what's going on? It's supposed to be like a very positive influence equally as the sun. Like, it's not supposed to be opposite of like the most horrifying thing that fucking kills people. Bro. Simply by his existence, and you have to stare at the moon. Otherwise you won't survive. Like the opposite, the complete opposite, bro. It's possible, though, we haven't dismissed that fucking case, that you need the moon like you need air to breathe. Like you need water. You need to stare at the moon. We haven't fucking done that case. And again, Camila technically suggests that too, of like talking to the moon, of like sending information to it. Maybe you desperately needs to. So we're still at step 1 and we're confused of which way to go even. There's still a branching path. Do we go the opposite way? Or do we respect these objects the same way as they tell a story about each other? That way makes sense to me, but like, I don't know. The possibility is there. The opposites would mean that they go the opposite way. And eventually, you know, or exist in opposite ways entirely. So the moon would be slightly bigger or something, you know, like, they would be opposite in many, many ways. Like, dogs and cats are kind of very opposite. Even though technically they represent fire, I believe. But they're very opposite. But the more opposite, it gets even weirder then. Alright, so in episode 1, we understand now that most importantly, we're fighting horror. Is what we're doing. And horror has been collecting around in my life. I didn't have to watch horror movies, nothing, bro. I just had to know that there are fucking fucked up, fucked-hearted people around me who are bothering me right now. For a very long time, I had to deal with that shit. And somehow, like, it just calmed down. And it makes no sense, but, like, alright. It was horrifying, extra horrifying, because it was very cold, too. Like, it's winter season, and I'm horrified by the fucking assholes. It just stacked against me so badly, and now everything's normal again. That's disgusting and disturbing, and we have to, like, really appreciate the topic here, because there might be more to it. No matter how much information people brag to have, if they do creepy shit on purpose, almost, or just completely in ignorant ways, as you have seen, I can't watch the video, it's impossible. You just keep showing fucking faces of the moon, of like, no, I don't want to fucking have face on the moon. Nah, bro. But some people just don't feel the fucking where to stop. They are not sensitive enough to just creepiness, which is the weirdest shit ever. If you're not sensitive to creepiness, your feelings are out of whack. Your morality is just out of control. You should feel fucking creepy things. A knife can be creepy. You know? Someone having power over you is creepy. Or asking you for too many things is creepy. And people just naturally want to avoid shit like this. But those who don't want to avoid it, well, they're pretty dangerous, I would say. And pretty questionable, but we just don't know how to approach these people. They're sort of untouchables. The only way you can defeat them is by just, I don't know, slapping their face over and over again onto this board and dragging them into the story of like just creepiness of like how pathetic they are because I will never get to know them. You know. I still have to go to sleep though. I don't want to make this too fucking weird, but it's just 5 minutes left. I'll still have some kind of insight when I wake up. But yeah, it's a very important feeling to tackle of what makes you scared and how to deal with that. All these scary stories, like even my cousin fucking attacked me with a scary story. He was a fucking asshole trying to fucking creep into my brain. Some bullshit. And as gullible as I am, I was just sucking it all up. Allowing him to speak, but like I was incredibly young. And I already forgot about this shit. I just knew it happened somehow. Which is creepy enough because now I am completely alone and isolated. And I can't imagine a time in my life where I was social even. But I do remember those times when I was like blacking myself out when I was young and all that shit. Like, those were pretty scary times. Being young and not knowing how the world works, but you still just live without fear almost. Because you sort of have friends, because they live in fear too. Yeah, the only reason why children socialize with each other is because they're afraid of the outside world. But when you socialize, you're not afraid all of a sudden. You're just like, whatever, right? We can do whatever. We can go outside at night. Do whatever. So potentially even populating your brain with people or your empty space with people who you would care about. Ghosting your apartment, but with people who you care about is potentially the only way you can fill up empty space successfully. Not by looking for ghosts, but like knowing what people should belong in which places, occupy what space, you know. So you don't feel creeped out by the darkness, by emptiness, by loneliness, all that shit. You have to actually craft ghosts to keep you company. It potentially, who knows, right? So let's go to sleep now. And see if I have final words. There is no information about this. You have found this, you better subscribe because there's a whole series to go through with this. And I probably will repeat, please subscribe moments many times. Apologies. But we definitely need to know more. And you have to stay away from horror as much as possible. So many people just play with the fucking idea of like, oh shit, I can fucking melt through into a mirror or there's ghost in the mirror. Especially fucking Russians who like this sort of like spiritual shit. They're as creepy as they fucking get. And in this series, you will find out all the reasons why you should stay away from this stuff. Because again, it fries your brain. It's a memory that you want to get rid of so badly. But there's kind of no way to do it. The only way you can remove memories, those fucking creepy memories, maybe defeating people, but mostly just filling in blank space. All that dark space with something that you want to remember, like actually want to remember. The greatest creepiness that happened, and yeah, it actually manifested not into mental illness, but into actual torment, spiritual torment, where I can hear things, I'm starting to believe, like, people are listening to my thoughts and shit, like, and projecting them out loud to everyone to hear. That everyone's conspiring against me, like, actually. And just, like, it's unavoidable thought because I feel it, I hear it, it's just, I'm getting stuck into being surrounded by, God knows what, bro. Holy shit. It was the scariest part of my life. And I just allowed horror to manifest. That's what happened. You always have to get rid of it as best as you can. But I listened to horror stories and just probably accumulated from there. Yeah, there is no sleeping. We're done here. The first episode is to connect the dots, and then we investigate further from here. We'll find tasks to do. We'll find quests eventually. But now we know what's the biggest, like, connected things. Moon and scary shit is what it is. But again, when other people lose their minds, that's good. Let them lose things. Fuck it. The reason why it's weird that Markiplier is popular is because he knows that it's weird. You know, he knows it's weird to not have any sanity but still be rich. Something's wrong with society. The society is not able to poke holes into his existence. Or maybe he has created resilience. No, there's no resilience, my friends. But we just don't know how to use his rotten brain to take advantage of a dude like this. We just don't know. So he's constantly questioning, why is he rich? Because that is in fact a question that makes no fucking sense. There's a lot of people that we can take advantage of that deserves to be taken advantage of because they have rotten their brains. They disrespected their bodies, bro. See you guys next time. Don't be that person.